Welcome back to the show. I'm your host Kyle, and I'm going to be talking about definitely an Oscar contender here. It is Poor Things, and it releases on Boxing Day. Well, it's kind of a weird one to say the least. Well, our story it begins in a Victorian era setting with a distinctly cyberpunk twist, and we see a beautiful young woman of obvious privilege, who we don't know, played by Emma Stone, throwing herself from a bridge to her death into the dark waters below. Now, just at this moment, a hideously scarred scientist and physician named Dr. Godwin Baxter prowls the banks of that very river. Now, sometime later, the woman is now named Bella Baxter, and she wanders Godwin's mansions surrounded by bizarre animals stitched together. I think there's a chicken pig and several other kind of bizarre Frankenstein-like creations. And Bella, we see, is a childlike, completely innocent, and curious of the world around her as a newborn baby. Now, Godwin asks a young man named Max, played by Rami Youssef, to observe and report on her development. Max is one of Godwin's students, Godwin being a physician, and he has plenty of students, but Max is pretty much a sycophant of the character of Godwin. Now, as Max reports on Bella and spends more time with her, Bella grows and learns to speak, learns to talk, and Max's feelings for Bella start to grow, but so at the same time does her sexuality and her desire to see the world beyond the cage that these men plan to keep her in. Now, she chooses to run off with Godwin's lawyer, a slick libertine and and kind of a cad named Duncan Weatherburn, played here by Mark Ruffalo. Now, with the first taste of freedom, Bella begins an adventure of emancipation and sexual liberation. Now, it's an odyssey across land and sea, from London to Paris and many places in between. Soon she has outgrown the grasp of even Mr. Weatherburn himself, and as she explores the world, she learns more about its beauty and of its horror. Completely free from the shame and the burdens of societal pressure, she discovers as much about herself as she does the world around her. Now, uh, coming from what the Guardian dubbed the Greek Weird Wave, director Yorgos Lanthimos has surprised audiences with his highly praised and quite absurdist filmography. His previous feature, 2018's The Favourite, became a smash hit, and it was nominated for 10 Oscars, I believe. But the most notably, it won Best Lead Actress for the star Emma Stone. And for this, which based on the popularity of The Favourite, he's been able to make his most ambitious film yet, and he reunites with Emma Stone, and also reuniting with his writer, Australian writer, Tony McNamara. And he's this film is a an adaptation of Alistair Gray's 1992 novel Poor Things. Alistair Gray being a Scottish writer who unfortunately passed just before this film went into full-fledged production, I believe. Now, as I said, the incredible success of The Favourite has allowed Lanthimos, the director, to fully break free from his independent film origins. And Poor Things is a darkly comic and mind-bending fantasy epic, the likes of which many filmmakers never get the chance to create. It's it's first and foremost a story about a woman breaking free of the shackles of society and the men around her that seek to confine her in some way or another, even if some of them want to confine her with love or protection. Basically, every man that she uh, pretty much every man that she comes into contact with does want to contain her somehow, and the movie is really about her growing beyond their control. And again, I stress, not all of them are doing so as a negative. They some of them are trying to hold on to her with love, but the movie is about her kind of growing free from that. But there's obvious parallels with Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. The film is equally whimsical and sexy and horrific. Now, it's this really bizarre fairy tale, and we see Bella embark on something unlike anything else that I've seen in cinema for a long time. It's kind of like a cross between the comedy of Wes Anderson and the dark adult themes and eye candy of Guillermo del Toro's movies. But the film is never too heavy-handed, and there's plenty of humor to be found throughout. At just the absurdity of the world and its characters. McNamara deserves yet another Oscar nomination here for what I feel is an exceptionally witty script. It's full of puns, turns of phrases, and his kind of this delicious dialogue, which seems almost Shakespearean in its creativity. Over the top characters feel right at home with this fantastical world as a backdrop. And Bella's story in particular is enhanced by the way her character is written and performed by Emma Stone. Uh, with Stone being quite comfortable now with Lanthimos as a director, and her also serving as a producer of this film, it allows her to give this amazingly brave performance. It's shocking in many ways as we see her grow from little more than an overgrown baby to this powerful, sexually liberated, and confident woman. With every new scene, we see her grasp that little bit more of what it means to be human. The film's costume design by Holly Waddington is just gorgeous across the board, but it can especially be seen through Bella's wardrobe and how it changes to match her maturing her growing maturity. Now, almost as fascinating to watch as Bella's personal ascension to womanhood is the downfall of her lover Duncan. Now, Ruffalo plays this debauched playboy hedonist with such vigor that you just can't help but smile at the same time that he makes your skin crawl. Like at one point he's the villain that's basically stealing Bella away, but he quickly realizes that she's she's too much for him to handle. And yeah, just the transition of power dynamics in their relationship is really quite priceless to watch. It was quite it's quite funny. I really do I think Ruffalo really does play both dramatic parts and comedic parts really well. And this film kind of yeah, it really allows him to ham it up for the screen, but it really kind of works. You know, also matching the film's stylish script and its eccentric world are its technical aspects. I've already mentioned about the costume design, but when Bella finally escapes from her cage and enters the world, the film transitions from black and white to this vibrant explosion of color, and uh, the production design of the film is brought to you by Shauna Heath and James Price, and it presents us a canvas. The world kind of looks in some shots, the world kind of looks like just a work of art by Vincent van Gogh. And throughout the film as well, it's shot by cinematographer Robbie Ryan, who the director worked with previously on The Favorite. And there's a lot of like bizarre uses of fisheye lens and just kind of odd perspectives that you get throughout the movie, and it really kind of gives this I wouldn't say off-putting, but it just kind of gives you the idea that this is just another a really bizarre world that you're watching the story take place in. It's not just the characters and the story that are weird; it's the entire world itself is quite bizarre. It's I mean the last dark fantasy film that I felt myself falling in love with how it was portrayed as much as this would probably be 1995's The City of Lost Children. Now that's going back a while. I know that Guillermo del Toro's films and uh, like I said, Wes Anderson films, they usually have their own kind of visual distinctive style. But yeah, this really did remind me a lot of The City of Lost Children, especially when you first see when Bella first goes out into the real world, uh, quote unquote real world. But Poor Things, I think it's a stunning film from start to finish. Now, while the final act of the movie may overstay its welcome a little bit, uh, it's just the this bonkers world which Lanthimos and his has created is just a real joy to soak in, and with a great performance by Mark Ruffalo, and just also I didn't even really talk much about Willem Dafoe's character in the film, mostly because he kind of disappears quite a lot from the second half of the picture. But yeah, he's just another great turns in another great performance. But really, it is the fearless outing from Emma Stone that I'm sure people are going to be talking about at this year's well, next year's Oscars. But yeah, it really does electrify what is already a very exhilarating film. So I'm going to give this 4.5 out of 5. I really did enjoy it. I just wish that final act of the film didn't feel quite so dragged out. I just because of what Bella's doing in that part of the film just feels like it goes on for just that little bit too long, past the point that we had already kind of gotten the point. but yeah, yeah, definitely check this one out. It's quite a bizarre little spectacle of a movie, and like I said, it's a kind of movie that that visionary filmmakers don't always get the chance to make. But I'm really happy that Lanthimos got the opportunity to make this. All right, so you're listening to CentralCoastRadio.com, and we'll be back right after this.